Good morning to my viewers and welcome back to the current affairs news. At German Media here, I am with you, Adam Joy, on the English presentation news. On the Standard newspaper today morning, we have the government will not reveal buyers of Jammeh's property. Court rejects prosecution request to admit statements of accused who alleges beating. Pen Gambia urges government to investigate deaths of journalists. Now we get to news of the details, where the Standard newspaper pick up information. Minister says only National Assembly can have information. By Tabora Boyang, Standard newspaper says, for the second time running, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Doro Jallow has told the National Assembly that the individuals who both from former President Jammeh's assets have not consented to the disclosure of their names to the public, and therefore as a government they cannot give their names to the public. Responding to the Fonyi Bintankara Night member Bakari K. Baji, who asked why the minister had problems reading the names of the buyers of Jammeh's properties if nothing is wrong with the sales, Doro Jallow replied, the reason is that we are dealing with the assets of a former president who is politically exposed. The purchasers of such properties are entitled to some form of privacy, and they do not give us their consent to disclose their names. However, we respect the right of this National Assembly as the representatives of the people of to avail them with any information they request, but whether whatever information provided to the Assembly should equally be provided to the public is something that we should look into. So we provided the names to the National Assembly, but the government do not think it is appropriate for us to disclose their names to the general public. Jammeh supporters have since accused Barrow government of selling his forfeited properties to cabinet ministers, senior civil servants, and private individuals connected to the state at very cheap prices. However, according to the Minister of Justice, the properties were valued and put into receiverships with sales coordinated by receivers who advertised the properties on their websites and invited interested individuals to submit their bids. The valuation of prices obtained from the exercise were mentally a guide, and they were prices that were kept in secret, and when assets were advertised, the people were allowed to bid in sealed bids. These offers were opened together in a conference room where bidders will be present, and their bids opened and the property sold to the highest bidder, the AG explained. On one particular matter, the sale of Jammeh's cattle, Justice Minister Jallow begged for time to allow his ministry to look into the Jammeh's Commission archive, which was coordinated in the sales of cattle. The cows were sold by the commission well before they even submitted their report to the government. So the Ministry of Justice and the Cabinet Subcommittee was only involved in the sales of other properties after the white paper was published, he told the NAMS. According to the minister, some of the properties were still unsold, adding government is working to ensure they are sold. Victims compensation bill. According to the minister, a victim compensation bill prepared to take care of the reparations and establish an independent body to manage compensation funds from the government and donors is already in cabinet, from where it will be tabled in the assembly soon. He said this year alone, the government allocated over 100 million for compensations, and more victims are being identified because not all were identified by the TRRC. The minister revealed that the amount of preparation recommended by the TRRC is questioned by the victim, as a result of which the government will ensure it is revised. That was the debate between the National Assembly members and the Minister of Justice regarding Jammeh's assets, which were alleged to be sold by the government to their colleagues and friends or partners in business. Then for the other, court rejects prosecution request to admit statements of accused who allege beating. There was a Standard newspaper also by Asa Tamba. Justice Basiru Mahoney presiding office over the treason trials involved 5 people accused of plotting to overthrow the government yesterday overruled the prosecution's application to admit the cautionary statement of the 5th accused President SIS Fabakary Jawara. Justice Mahoney rejected the application after Jawara's Counsel Lamin Camara objected to the admission of his client's statement, arguing he was beaten before his statement were obtained and in the absence of an independent witness. His ruling, Justice Mahoney stated that for the statement of Fabakary Jawara to be admitted, the court has to comply with the Evidence Act. He said, according to the Evidence Act, the cautionary and voluntary statements shall not be admitted unless the confession is voluntarily and made in written, signed, and thumb printed in the presence of an independent witness who is not in the security forces. The provision on this Evidence Act leaves no room for uncertainty. These are preconditions in obtaining professional statements, particularly in cautionary and voluntary statements, the judge said. He further revealed that the Section 31 of the Act categorically stated that the confessions must be made in presence of an independent witness, in the presence of signing the paper, whether or not the accused wrote the statement by himself. Where the voluntary nature of the statement has been challenged, it normally called for suspension of the trials and called for a minute trial to determine the originality of the statement. This statement was reportedly taken in the absence of an independent witness, as stated by P55. There is no need for a minute trial. The statements are therefore rejected, he ruled. Corporal Sana Fadera, allied clearing leader, Sergeant Jibril Dabo, Corporal Ibrahim Sano, Corporal Umar Njai, and Sub-Inspector Fabakary Jawara are facing 2 counts of treason, concealment of treason, and incitement of mutiny. The trial continues today on the 23rd. That was the Standard newspaper, also news written by Asha Tamba. Now we may move to the news headlines. PEN Gambia urges government to investigate death of journalists. PEN Gambia Center, an organization that defends freedoms of expression, has called on the government to investigate the deaths of Gambian journalists Umar Barrow, Ibrahim Chief Mane, and Deda Hydra. The center is an extension of PEN International, a UK-based organization operating in over 100 countries around the world. It made the call at a day-long inter-senior secondary school debate on Tuesday. Journalist Umar Barrow was reportedly killed on April 10, 2000 by members of the armed during a student demonstration, while Ibrahim Mane, a former Daily Observer journalist, was arrested in July 2006 and tortured to death by government agents, while the Hydra was shot to death in December 2004. The group urged the government to ensure thorough investigation into Mr. Mane's disappearance and ensure there is closure for his family. We want to know what killed him and where he is buried, the group said. PEN Gambia also demand answers to Deda Hydra's death. We want to know the reasons behind his killing. Because through the TRRC has confirmed his killing, it fell short of telling us who killed him and why. We also want the government to conduct further investigations and prosecute those who are responsible for his death. We also demand the same in Umar Barrow's case, the group added. The executive director of PEN Gambia Center, Musa Sirif, said his group is responsible for promoting debate and a culture of reading in schools. PEN International Center is ready to work with schools, writers, and artists for the promotion of freedom, justice, and literature. For now in the Gambia, we want to focus on literature to bring back the culture of reading. The evolutions of technology has changed the culture of reading when students used to go to the National Library to read, he said. The Gambia Writers Association President Dr. Cherno Barry said Deda Hydra's only crime was defending freedom of expression. That was the message that PEN Gambia urges the government to investigate the death of journalists in the Gambia during the former regime for 22 years. And now we just recap on your news that is Gambia will not reveal bias. A government of the Gambia will not reveal bias of Jammeh's properties. Courts reject prosecution request to admit statement of accused who allies beating. PEN Gambia urges government to investigate death of journalists. Thank you for joining us. This is Adam Njai at Jamano Media and Products TV.